What's up, Inquirers? Today we're going to be taking a look at the video and the situation surrounding the argument that took place in a Chipotle in Michigan. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, you are watching Inspiring Inquiry. Okay, so in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the incident that happened at the Chipotle in Michigan between the lady pointing a gun at the mother and her daughters, and that's how they're portraying it in the news and different social media outlets across like Facebook and Twitter and everything else like that. I'm sure that a lot of people, especially if you're watching this video, are already familiar with that. Well, I want to start out from where the incident started, and it was apparently between a bump between the two. Now, we have one person's recollection of what happened, and we're going to read that off. But first, I wanted to share what the police chief said in the statement that he gave the other day. This is what he said happened, or what the two were claiming happened, that led up to the disagreement between the two people and the subsequent video that's being shared around social media.
Yeah, apparently what had happened, that was the one common theme between both parties, was that the folks, the three, were headed inside to Chipotle, and the one woman, the occupant of the vehicle, was headed out with her food. And there was a bump as they entered an exit. The one person said they didn't realize they had bumped the other person with the food bag, and the other person felt they needed to get an apology. Then it escalated from there.
So according to him, after speaking with both parties involved, as they were coming in and coming out of the Chipotle, the mother and the daughters were going in. The lady was coming out with her food. Apparently there was a bump. The lady with the food says that she wasn't even aware that she bumped the other person. The other one said that she wanted an apology, according to the police chief. Well, according to Detroit News, Mrs. Hill says that her 15-year-old daughter, Michaela Green, was bumped into by a white woman outside of the restaurant, and she asked the lady for an apology. However, she claims that the woman started to yell at her. Michaela said, "Before I could walk into Chipotle, this woman was coming out, and I had moved out of the way so she could walk out. She bumped me, and I said, 'Excuse you,' and then she started cussing me out, saying things like I was invading her personal space." Michaela Hill then said, "I walked up on the woman yelling at my daughter. She couldn't see me because her back was to me, but she was in my daughter's face." So they were saying that the family was walking into Chipotle. According to the statements that this lady gave, she was not walking into the Chipotle with her daughter. And according to the statements that her daughter made, it also doesn't indicate that they were all walking in together. It seems that the woman and this girl had some sort of an altercation. The mom comes up afterwards, after they have already gotten into an argument. Now, when she says that she asked for an apology, "excuse you" is not asking for an apology. Now, there may be more said, but it's not reflected in the reports that were given. When they record her statements of what she said that she did, it doesn't say she asked for an apology. It said she said, "excuse you." Now, to me personally, saying "excuse you" is not asking for an apology. That's first off. Second off, you are not entitled to an apology. Now, people do shitty things to each other all day long, every single day in this world. Some are criminal, some are not criminal. This is one of those things that's not criminal, at least not to my knowledge. I don't think that you can actually charge someone for just bumping into you. Now, you can ask them for an apology, which to me, "excuse you" isn't asking for an apology. But like I said, she might have said more. It might just not be reflected in this particular news article or the news articles that I've seen that have come out. Now, asking for an apology is one thing. When the person doesn't give you an apology for whatever reason, you call that person a dick and you go on with your day. If you do go and you end up exacerbating the situation, then it can lead to things like this. Now, that's one of the reasons why I don't fuck with people when I go out. If I'm out and I'm doing my own thing and someone bumps into me, hey, you bumped into me. If he wants to be a dick, fine, because I don't have time for people like that. But regardless, people do what they do. Everyone reacts to things differently. She wanted an apology. Fine, she wanted an apology. But let's see what happens after this person wanted an apology and the other person, who says that, at least to the police, said that she wasn't aware that she had bumped anybody. Let's see what ensued after that.
No, I'm asking a question. She's a child.
She bumped into me when I
So
was
if she did something wrong, she needs to apologize. If she did
This
something
ignorant
wrong,
woman bumped into a 15-year-old,
correct?
and you're on camera.
Okay.
You're feeling threatened.
Okay, well, go in.
No, Mom.
I got this.
You're blocking me from getting in my car.
No, we weren't. No, we weren't. No, we weren't. You're ignorant.
Go ahead, call the police.
No, we will, but you're not going to sit there and violate a 15-year-old.
She's ignorant.
Do it, bitch. Do it. Go ahead. Do it. I want you to
Call
do
the
something.
police.
She's very ignorant.
Dumbass bitch.
All right, so I'm going to stop it right there and kind of talk a little bit as we go through the video. Up until this point, now there may have been more stuff that happened before the camera started rolling, and cameras, when they start rolling, can tend to change people's behaviors, usually for the worse. But in this case, it seems like the lady, the one who had the food and was on her way out, is at least being reasonable. She's trying to speak with them and they're screaming at her. Now, if you want someone to give you an apology, I think that you should be reasonable and hear them out and at least hear what they have to say. Now, she may have tried all that before the video starts, but we can only talk about what is in the video that we have. So according to that, this people keep speaking over her. She said that nobody did anything and they cut her off before she has a chance to finish. And she says, call the police. From those actions, it seems like she doesn't want this thing to escalate. She doesn't want there to be an incident at all, because she even says, you're blocking me from my car. Now, when she goes to get in her car after her husband comes and opens up the door, now you can see and hear the other lady on the other side of the door. She starts calling her names. She calls her a bitch. She says is that I wish you would. Now, to me, if you're just looking for an apology, why would you be doing things to instigate that type of behavior? Why would you be telling someone that you wish they would, that you wish that they would do something, please, and then calling them a bitch over and over again? I just don't understand that if what you're saying is true, that all you wanted was an apology for your daughter.
Yeah, I said it. You say something, I'll beat your white ass. Yeah, I
You-
will. Do something. Please put your
Do
motherfucking
something.
hands up.
Do something.
Please.
Who the fuck do you think you guys
Who
are?
do you?
This is more of what I'm talking about. She looks at the husband and says, yeah, if you say something, I will beat your white ass too. Now they're calling people racist and they're saying that they were owed an apology and that's all they wanted was for her to say sorry, but yet you're telling the husband that you will beat his ass too, and you even needed to throw in the term white. I don't understand why, if you're worried about these people being racist, why you would be throwing race in it. Now, I don't know if the lady said something before the cameras turned on that got race involved, but according to the video that we have, the Westenbergers didn't bring race into the situation. Then the daughter came up to him, putting the camera in his face, saying, do something, do something. Once again, I don't understand, if all you wanted was an apology, why you would continue to do this type of behavior. If you think it's so wrong that somebody bumped into you, then why do you think it's okay to do these type of antagonistic acts?
Who do you white think you are?
You calling her name?
yeah,
She
you-
did nothing to
Yeah,
you.
I
she
didn't.
apologize.
I
Go
didn't.
ahead, Kayla.
No, you didn't. You're very racist and ignorant.
You're racist because you're calling
No,
her
you
name.
bumped it. She bumped into it.
Why would you bump into
You
her?
cannot just
Why
walk
would
around
you
calling
bump her?
white
Why
people
would you bump her?
racist. This is not that
Why
type
would
of
you
world.
bump her?
White people
Why
are
would you
racist.
bump her?
No one's
Why
racist.
would you bump her?
I
Why
care
did you
about
say
you.
sorry?
I care
Why
about
did you say
you,
sorry?
and I'm sorry if you've
Why
had an
did you say
incident that
sorry?
has made
If you
someone
bumped
make
into
you
her,
feel
why
like
did you
that.
say sorry?
No one is racist.
If you didn't do
I'm
anything,
sorry
why
if
did you
you
do that?
had something like that happen.
Ignorance. Ignorance.
So this whole section is just a big jumbled mess. I mean, it starts out with the husband saying, who the fuck do you think you are? Which definitely didn't help the situation whatsoever. The other two become irate and start hollering and cussing at him even more, and seemingly giving him threats, telling him that, you know, she would beat their ass too and everything. This just seems like a lot of ridiculousness. Now, towards the end, the man starts to ask, you know, why are you saying that she's racist? And the girl says, because she bumped into me. So to me, that just because someone bumps into you doesn't make them racist. So I don't know why she would be saying that she was calling her racist because she bumped into her. Then it pans back over to the two women, the mom and Mrs. Westenberg, now in a heated exchange with each other, where at this point it doesn't seem like either one is listening to each other. Mrs. Westenberg is saying that, you know, you can't just go around calling people racist, and she says something crazy like white people aren't racist, when we all know that there are definitely racist white people. I think she was just in the moment and trying to defend herself. The mom was sitting there arguing with her, asking her the same question over and over again. Why did you bump her? Why didn't you apologize? You know, these types of things. So it seems like at this point they were both just very heated, and the argument, everybody was just really mad at each other. And at that point on both sides, it really doesn't seem like there's a rational conversation to be had.
Very. Mom, watch.
All right, so I stopped it right here because this is the moment right before the lady jumps out with a gun and starts pointing it at the lady who's behind her car. Now, there are two different sides to what happened here. The lady who was behind the car says that she was walking away and that she assumed that they were trying to hit her, and that so she hit the back of their window to tell them that she was there so that they wouldn't hit her. The other lady later on in the video says that she feels that she tried to jump behind her car, and when she has the gun pointed at her, she's backing up and saying, "Don't you jump behind my car."
What the fuck? Get the fuck away from me!
You gonna get on her face.
You better get on my fucking face right now. Get away.
Get the fuck back.
Get the fuck away.
Get the fuck
Get
back.
away. Get the fuck away. Are you gonna hit? You gonna shoot me?
Get the fuck away.
Oh.
Get away. Call the cops right now. Call them.
Oh.
Call the cops.
Get the fuck away.
Call the cops.
Get away.
She got the gun on me. He
Call
about to
them
hit me
now.
with the car. Call them. I'm telling. Get the
Call
license
the cops.
plate. Get the license plate.
Get.
Get the license plate now. Cause you were never about to hit me with the damn
Don't
car.
you
about
fucking
to hit
know.
me with the car?
Fucking
Oh,
stop
both of y'all put the guns on.
Yeah.
Okay. Call Richard back up here, the police. Call Richard back up here now.
I got it.
Don't you fucking jump behind my
no,
car.
no, I ain't jumping on your car. What
Don't you fucking jump.
Mom, stop
Get the
moving.
fuck back.
Stop, Mom.
Up. Get the fuck back. Back the fuck up. No, you can't fucking leave.
Do you got all this on video? Yes.
Call the police.
No. Mom, stop walking.
Hello, police. Call the police. Can you come back to your Call the police. Call the police. You about to hit me with the car. These motherfuckers trying to hit me.
So I don't think I have to say it, but I will say it. There was a whole lot of stupid right there. Starting out, the lady was hitting the car because she felt like they were trying to hit her with the car. Well, from what it looked like, they didn't turn at all. It looked like they were backing straight up. And when she immediately started to walk away from them, she was walking on this little sidewalk part right next to the handrail. Well, when you look in the video, you can see where she is almost directly behind the vehicle at this point when they're backing up. So I really don't, I'm not going to pick a side to say whether or not she was doing what the lady claimed that she was doing or whether or not she was just walking to her car. All I can say is I don't know why she was behind the vehicle when she knew that they had been trying to back up, trying to leave. Having said that, as soon as she hits the vehicle to let them know that she is back there, the lady immediately jumps out of the car, points a gun at them, and starts threatening them to back up, to back the fuck up. That's a problem. She turned it from where it was at all the way up to 10. Now, at this point, she was already in the car. She had the windows up and she could have just waited. She could have called the cops. She could have just stopped. She could have tried to pull off some more, or the man who was driving could have done that. There was a lot of avenues that she could have taken to do that. But once she jumped out of the car, she did point a weapon. Now, we need to go over whether or not that's deadly or non-deadly force. In my last video, we talked about how Michigan looks at deadly force and non-deadly force a little bit different than other places do. In other places, if you point a gun at somebody, they consider that deadly force. In Michigan, the Court of Appeals ruled that when you point a gun at somebody, that is threatening deadly force. And to threaten deadly force is not the same as actually enacting deadly force, like shooting at somebody. The mere pointing of a gun is a threat, so it is considered non-deadly force according to the Supreme Court of Michigan. Now, to determine whether or not that is going to be justified, her lawyer is going to have to give an argument that she felt that that was the amount of force necessary to deter another crime from happening, from someone employing force upon her. We won't find out more about that until July 14th. That's when they have a preliminary hearing to determine probable cause for the issuance of the warrants. I've already gone over a preliminary hearing before with the Ahmaud Arbery case. That one was very extensive. It was dealing with a murder. It happened after the fact. There was a lot of stuff to go over, a lot of evidence. I don't feel like this preliminary hearing is probably going to be as long. The last time I covered one, I think it was about 5 videos long. This one will probably be more like 1 or 2 videos, seeing as there's probably a lot less evidence to go over. Lastly, what I want to leave you guys with is just to be better to each other. This situation didn't have to happen. You didn't get an apology you wanted, fine, go on with your day. Somebody starts acting irate, get in your car and leave. I really don't understand why this situation had to go that way it did. I don't understand why people had to portray it the way that they did. I think this whole situation could have been handled better from the beginning. Me, I have 4 children. Their ages range from 3 to 8 years old. So in my house, I'm constantly having to go over different ways for us to better communicate with each other. Whether that be hitting each other, yelling and screaming, I try to teach them that there's a better way to communicate. We can talk about our problems without having to yell at each other about it. And I think a little bit of that sentiment would have gone a long way in this particular situation. But as always, I appreciate you guys watching my video. If you haven't already, like this video, share this video so others can see it, and be sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to see all future videos, and hit the bell if you want to get notifications whenever that they come out. I always appreciate you guys watching my videos. This is Inspiring Inquiry.